Welcome to the future. We are live. Hello, beautiful people. It's a Tuesday, and today's topic is going to be about conquering your demons. So I had to give you that big outburst of energy right at the beginning because we're going to go deep. We're going to go deep, and it might get a little dark, and you guys might start to wonder, where's the light? Where's the light on this? We're talking about moments when you're fighting your own internal voice. I'm calling it a demon, but you can call it whatever you want. You can call it your id, you can call it your ego, but that internal conflict, the struggle, and the choices you have to make. Maybe you're suffering from complacency. Maybe you're just really content at being where you're at. You're not driven or motivated, so you go home, you hit a routine, and you wake up one day and you realize half your life is gone, hence the midlife crisis. Maybe you suffer from the imposter syndrome. You never feel like you belong, no matter where you're at, no matter who you're with. And that could be a big issue. Maybe you suffer from low self-esteem. Maybe there's some confidence issues around certain things, obviously not everything, and we're going to get into that. But before we do that, I want to say hi to the Dream Team. Happy Tuesday, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Hello, Chris.
Hi, Molly.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Erica. And Aaron.
Hey, Chris.
He's back.
Yep,
He's
I'm back. Exclusive engagement.
Exclusive
Limited
engagement.
engagement.
He's back from outer space.
We're ready for this deep topic.
Okay. Well, I guess it's fitting that you guys look really deep and dark and contrasty and saturated. I really like this look, Aaron. Good job. We're always
Thank
evolving
you.
here. And if you guys don't see Aaron, it's not because he's dead in a ditch somewhere. It's because he's working on other things. He's perfecting his game. He's working on his craft, and I applaud that. All right. You guys stick around. We're going to be here for the next hour or so. And it might get a little emotional.
I'm going to cry for sure.
Me too.
Right? Don't cry just yet.
I'm feeling the crying.
And I just want to say this. Right before the show, Molly was sharing an author and a book that she was referencing, talking about the need to have the courage to be vulnerable in a world where everybody wants you to be strong, confident, and know exactly what you're doing. So it's with that we're launching the show. We're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it raw. Roll the titles. And we're back. Let's get to my deck. Today's show on Raw, Conquering Your Internal Demons. I like that image of the tree. It's kind of sad and somber. And the tree is a metaphor for your mind, kind of looking at the leaves falling. And there's this great African proverb I found. It says, when there is no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot hurt you.
Oof.
That sounds pretty good.
I like that.
African proverb, some ancient wisdom there. And I'm going to begin this story with my trip recently to Toronto, Canada for Design Thinkers. And I was up on stage doing my thing. A lot less nervous than I used to be, I have to say. So I'm well on the road to conquering that demon, the demon of public speaking, the demon of being an introvert, being extremely shy. I know a lot of you guys scratch your head and say, what the heck are you talking about? You're here, you're broadcasting, you're in front of people, you're talking in front of hundreds of people at times. How could you be shy? Is this possible? Well,
I wonder.
I was hanging out with some people, the 12 apostles apparently. It wasn't meant to be like that, you guys. There's no
Yeah,
Jesus
really.
reference here. Right? And people were talking to me, and I got to meet some really wonderful people. And of course, once I do my talk, I can fully relax. So there's a delegate part. I'm hanging out. I'm talking to some young people, and they said, when were you vulnerable? When were you suffering? And when have you had to overcome a challenge?
Yeah.
I said, man, I have lots of demons and challenges, but I feel like people don't want to hear that from me. And on a different episode, we're going to talk about your brand identity and who you want to be to other people and what version of yourself you want to share with people. And I know for a lot of you guys, I kind of played as cold, autocratic, kind of android person without feelings. I'm all ruled by logic, There's no feeling inside that heart.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely there is. And so I was thinking, okay, fine. So I'm going to tell you guys a story.
Yes.
And I want to hear also from you guys, Molly, Aaron, and Erica. If you guys want to chime in, if you cry foul, if I'm saying something, you're like, oh, well, I don't believe that. That sounds a little suspicious, circumspect, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will.
So let's go back. Let's travel back in time. I have this cool graphic I created in Keynote. This is indicated. It would have animated. Let's go back in time to 2010. This is 7 years ago, you guys. 7 years, okay? And I was working on this music video called The Heart of Stone. It's written by the Ravenettes, a band that we've collaborated on before. Love working with them. Danish band. And the idea for the video was to combine a couple things that I love. Steampunk and the illustration, the artwork of Fritz Kahn. And he's amazing. And when I say I'm inspired by these works, I wholeheartedly stole every reference that I could. Okay? That's a different topic for a different show. I'm going to show you some of the artwork so you guys have some context for this, what we're talking about.
Okay.
I hired this illustrator. His name is Tom. He's from Art Center. Incredible designer. Could you just look at this? Like,
Did you?
No, Tom drew this.
Okay.
Oh, Molly, if I could draw this, I would be doing drawing demos all day long just to show you, right?
That's good.
And
That's
this
awesome.
is in reference to Fritz Kahn's work, who is really well known for doing things like this, where he would illustrate the inner workings of the human body as a machine or a factory. And if you guys look up Fritz Kahn, you'll see his work and you'll know exactly who I stole work from.
Mm-hmm.
So this was all about, and I think it's apropos because the Heart of Stone was about shielding off your true feelings, masking things off, pretending like everything's okay, and how that will destroy you on the inside. So learning how to recognize your emotions and process them in a way that's healthy versus unhealthy. I think men in our culture, and our culture being in modern society, and especially in Asian culture, you're not supposed to have weaknesses. Men aren't supposed to cry. They're not supposed to emote and feel and things like that. Anyways, moving along. Now you can see the artwork on the left with the drawing and then the CG version. I had an amazing guy. His name is Chris, and he modeled this for me over the holiday weekend. He just lived at the office and was amazing.
Cool.
Isn't that really cool?
It wasn't you, Chris?
No. I don't talk about myself in the third person. I'm not that egotistical just yet.
Okay.
Erica, you want to say
Yet?
something?
Apparently, there's still time for that.
There's still room to grow, you know. I'm always evolving. No, I'm not going to talk about myself in the third person.
Cool.
And this is some of the finished work done for it. And you can see now synthesizing all the steampunk, but we also had some really talented artists. Michael Ralph designed this character as well as the smoke effect. And it was really cool, a hybrid of 2D and 3D, something I love.
Cool.
This is the main character.
Yeah.
And all the stories happening inside his body as he's riding along on this train track. And there's a little creature, a little robot. See, he has little eyes for screws for eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a heart inside for a brain. And he's kind of watching him. He's like a little spider bot.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, look at
watching
that
him.
irony. He has his brain is a heart.
Yeah, his brain is a heart.
I love it.
And his heart
He's
is a
so
brain.
cute.
He is pretty cute. We should make a toy out of him.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving along. Now, one of my staff members said, you know, Chris, let's submit this thing to see if we can win an Emmy. Can we do that? I said, sure. Why don't you go ahead and submit? I thought, there's no way we can win one. It doesn't even make sense. We don't do broadcast work.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a category called music videos. And for music videos, you can submit this kind of work. And this is perfect. So we submitted it. And then lo and behold, I get a letter saying, congratulations. You've won the juror award for art direction, and they're allowed to give 0 or as many as they want. And so this was very exciting. Like, my gosh, I didn't think that we were going to win. And so we win an Emmy. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, Chris, where's this courage point coming? Because
I know.
you're just being braggadocious right now.
I just made some awesome art and I won an Emmy. And my life's so hard.
Those are
with
my
amazing
demons.
people that are way more talented than everybody you've seen. And yeah, that's my courage story.
Oh, wow. That's really touching.
So far, you're totally nailing it, Chris.
I'm totally on point, aren't I, Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the second part to that letter was you are to give a 30-second speech.
Ooh,
Ooh,
here it comes.
you have to give a 30-second speech. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm dreading this. Now, they give you plenty of time. So we're talking about a couple of months or at least several weeks to prepare. And so I'm writing things. I'm talking to my business coach, like, what do I write? So here's the thing that they put in there that really is a mind screw for you, okay? And this is what they write in there. What they say is, keep it short, keep it pithy, and do something memorable. Because everybody thanks their mom and God. And so what are you going to do? Because ultimately, the memorable speeches get cut. Okay, so we're not part of the prime time Emmys where all the beautiful people are, not the superstars. This is the Creative Arts Emmy. I think that's what it's called.
I see.
So all the behind the camera people win an award on this day.
Cool.
So that's the thing. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, whatever. So lo and behold, the day arrives, and here we are at the Emmys. And this is my seat, and you can see it's beautiful. Everybody's dressed up. I'm in my tuxedo.
Did you take that picture?
I did take this picture.
Wait, a question. Is this the same venue where, like, you know, all the famous guys go up on stage?
Yeah.
It's the same venue?
It's the exact same venue.
Okay.
It's just the day before.
Okay,
Or
okay,
the
cool.
week before or something
Very
like
cool.
that. I don't know how they do this. So this is the exact same venue. That's why it looks all glitzy and glam.
Were you wearing a tuxedo?
I was wearing a full tuxedo, and we'll get into that.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm sitting here, and I think I missed one of the meetings that I'm supposed to go to where they tell you what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to prepare for this moment. And I got to tell you that just like giving a talk, it's nerve-wracking just to sit there and wait. Like, I have to get on stage, I have to give my speech, and I do the thing that you're not supposed to do.
You get nervous.
No.
Fidgeting?
No. I started rewriting my prepared speech in my mind.
Again, like right there.
Yeah, and I do this all the time, guys. If you ever go and see me speak, and you'll see me backstage, I'm a little standoff-ish, a little aloof, coy, or whatever word you might want to use. It's because I'm rewriting the talk and the slides up into the very last minute because I want to change something. I'm going through it, and I'm trying to like, oh, that didn't sound funny in my mind. Let me switch that around, or that didn't have flow. I'm always thinking about flow, like how do I move from one point of the story to the next. In 30 seconds, it was brutal. And I kept thinking about being kind of under the lights and everybody looking at me and the words just not coming out and not being able to enunciate.
I have that same fear. Like, I'm going to open my mouth and it's just going to be, you know?
It like you stammer your way through it. You just jumble up your words. Worse yet, you pull a Mike Tyson and use the wrong word and pretend like you know what it means.
Your voice gets shaky. That happens to me.
Oh, that happens? Are you kidding
And
me?
then
I
it's
feel like other people don't notice it, though.
Oh, they notice it.
It depends how
You can
bad
hear
the
it.
shakiness is.
Okay,
Like-
just remember, you guys, this is 7 years ago.
Okay.
So my voice would have been trembling. My heart was beating like crazy the entire time. And I'm just sitting there. And my wife is like looking around. She's enjoying it. Everything's cool. She's like, you'll be fine, honey. She'll be fine. And then she's like, she looks at me and it's like, oh my God, that's been you the whole time. My knees were shaking back and forth the whole time. Just like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what to do. So she thought it was some kind of vibration from a machine, a generator, an air conditioner. But the whole time I've been just shaking my leg like,
God.
you know, like, oh, like I'm tapping to a beat that doesn't exist, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. And she's like, relax, honey. She puts her hand on my knee and it's like, relax. I'm like, this is easy for you to say.
It is your
I'm going to get
breathing.
up on stage, right?
Yeah.
And this is like a multi-hour event. So I'm just sitting here like, please just put me out of my misery. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And like, who do you think? Of course I have to thank my mom and dad. And then I was thinking, do I thank my country? Like, this is for Vietnam, you guys. I love it.
That would have been funny.
This is for all the nerds who just have been bullied and beat down and thought you could never do anything like this. And this one's for you guys. I take this one home for you.
So what was like the outline that you had in your mind?
I don't remember.
Top
now.
level.
I don't even, you give me flashbacks. I don't even remember. It's been blacked out of my mind. You're going to have to do some deep psychotherapy to pull that sucker out.
So you don't remember what you said?
Well, I got to get to the story, right?
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
We got an hour to fill here. So
Oh,
I gotta,
man. Okay, well, let's move it along here. Let's go.
Hey, you sit back and relax.
All right.
Just relax, you ADD. Okay, so I'm sitting there, and she's like, calm down. And then she's like, hey, taps me on the shoulder, like, I think that guy's looking for you. And you know, you guys remember the photo, like where we're sitting? I turn to my right, and it's a darkened theater, and the ceremony continues on, and there's a page walking down, like on his kind of like bent knees and saying, Crystal. And I was like, I wonder if he's saying my name. It kind of sounds like my name.
Yeah.
And Molly, you know this. I have incredible hearing. I have
know.
hearing like a dog. If you guys whisper my
eye like
name
a
from a
hawk.
mile away,
Hearing
I
like
will
a,
hear it.
I don't know.
A mind like a dog? What'd you say?
No, I said eyes like a hawk and
Eyes like-
hearing like a.
Dog.
And heart like a robot.
Oh my God, we need to make a graphic
Okay.
for you.
I'm like a DC character where I have different parts of animals. Okay, except for the robot part. And I'm like, oh, hey, that's me. I'm here. And he's like, oh my God, he was so excited. He's like, come with me. He said, we've been looking for you. Everybody's backstage. They're ready to come on stage. We're not going to be able to go out the back way because it's going to take too long. My producer's going to be so thrilled that I found you. And let's get up on stage. And so we're walking, and he gets me up, and we're going to walk down the aisleway up towards the stage and bank left in front of the beautiful people. There are some beautiful people here because they got to fill the front area with some celebrities, maybe second-tier celebrities or whatever. They were sitting up front, and I was thinking, my God, I'm wearing these new shoes, brand new slick shoes from Dolce & Gabbana, and the soles of the shoes, they're like black polished shoes, they're beautiful pointed shoes, and they're super slippery. They're leather. And as we're walking, I was like, whoa, I almost lost my footing. I was thinking, can you imagine if I ate it in front of everybody in the middle of the show? We're not talking about a commercial break here. The show is live, it's being filmed, and I would have eaten it right there.
I've seen it happen.
All right, so we get backstage. We're backstage, I'm like, okay, thank you, Mom, thank God, thank your country, thank the people, it's all gonna be okay. Come on, you can do this, boy, you can do this. And then the guy in front of me, he turns to me, and he's rather angry. He's like, can you believe it? They're running over on time, and they're going to cut our speech. They're going to cut our speech. And in my mind, I was like, hallelujah! They're going to cut the speech. I don't have to do this. But I was thinking, do not toy with my emotions right now because I'm prepared to give the talk. And if they cut it, great. But then if I have to go back on DEFCON 5, what do we do here?
Yeah.
So you know what he said? He's like, I'm going to talk to the producers right now. Can you believe this? He was righteously indignant. This was his moment to give his speech, and he wasn't going to be robbed of his 30 seconds. I was like, oh, why you got to be a troublemaker? Just fall in line. Be a good Asian. He wasn't Asian. I'm like, just do what you're told. Just do what you're told and it'll be fine. So I'm sitting there, tapping toes. Okay, still rehearse. He comes back. He's like, we're not going to give a speech. Like, okay, so all you do is go on stage. They hand you the award. You have 5 seconds to do something, and you get off stage right away, and you give your statue to the next person because it's a statue they have to recycle until you go and pick up your real statue. Okay? I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can walk on stage. I can walk out there and take that thing. So there I am, 131 pounds in my Dolce & Gabbana suit
You look
tuxedo.
good.
You look good.
So I'm holding it up. And
You look so different.
And
Yeah.
I'm like so awkwardly uncomfortable. Look at me.
Who
Look
took
at
that
my
photo?
body
Was that
language.
Andrew? Did Andrew take that
No,
one?
this is a professional photographer
Oh.
hired
How
by
old
the
were you
Emmys.
there?
I was 7 years younger than I was today.
How
And
many
there it
pounds
is.
lighter?
10 pounds lighter, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, your clothes look a little baggy.
You look
I'm
good.
140 pounds. Today, I'm 131 there. And I cannot get back into that suit. First of all, my body's a little different, not just my belly. Okay, anyway, so there's the statue, something grand. Now, this was one of those moments where the momentum of the train moving forward would carry you. And so I don't even dare to say that that required a courage moment. All I had to do was stand there and open my mouth, right? At this point.
Wait,
But
hold on.
I
So
got-
you
I
didn't
got
give a
out of it.
speech?
No speech.
But you opened your mouth for some reason?
No. I'm just
Oh.
saying that, first of all, I got a lifeline. The lifeline was I was not ready to give my speech. Thank goodness, because I'm just not in that mindset.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. So I just go out there, grab it, hold it up, do kind of a semi-half pump, just being totally awkward on stage. I walk off, and it was like the greatest relief of my life. From that point forward, I enjoyed the show. I was laughing, I was clapping. It was like, you good, you so good. You know, like, good for you. Before that, I was like,
No more shaking.
you're right, I couldn't do it.
Now look at you. Oh my God.
No, look at me, I'm totally different.
Wow.
I'm so annoying right now.
The transformation.
The transformation. Okay, let's talk about the next part. So there's 3 parts of the story. The next one is you versus you. And I want to say this is like that moment when you're doing battle with yourself. And it's not always easy. It's not always easy for me, guys. Now, I talk about hard work. I talk about the grind. I talk about the hustle life, right? And you guys know I probably work 16, 17 hours a day. And how do you know that? Because almost any point in which you comment on something, you can
You'll
see me
answer.
responding. And I'm putting out new posts. I'm doing social content. I'm writing a deck, or I'm doing something. Maybe I'm working on a project. But it's not always that easy. And I'll tell you a little story. We were preparing for a live stream, and we're going on air the next day. And I'm lying in bed, and I'm thinking, oh man, it's early. The live stream's at 11 o'clock. I don't know if I want to get up. Like, I think I could just cancel this. Or you know what? I'll just repurpose one of my old decks. I don't really need to do something new. Like, why would I do this? Why am I such a glutton for punishment? It's too hard to do this fresh all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having this conversation with myself. And there's a moment there that you think, I just give in. But then there's the other part, as the two parts of my mind are doing battle with each other. The other part says, get up, you lazy little bastard, get up. You don't recycle decks, you write new decks. The people are counting on you. And no, we're not going to postpone this because we run a show that's begins sort of at 11 o'clock.
Heavy on the
Maybe
ish.
11:30.
Theoretically, it runs at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we're doing this thing, and I was thinking, oh man, I got to get up. I can do this. And I think it's like 7 or 8 a.m. at this point, and I'm running on 5-6 hours of sleep. I get up, and I whip myself into a frenzy, and I get on the machine, and I do battle. I do battle with that beast, and I overcome it. And when I'm able to, and in the moment I'm sitting on the machine, it feels so invigorating. It feels exhilarating that I could beat the demon. And I share this story with you guys because it's not that it's automatic. I don't just spring out of bed. I just don't love working when I don't have enough sleep. I just don't love grinding all the time. So
Yeah.
these battles happen. The difference here, I think, is that I'm able to overcome those demons and to silence those things inside my head so I can get the work done. Okay, I'm going to take it now to the 2017 VIP party. This is kind of where the story begins. So we're going to bookend this, you guys.
Okay.
And I encourage you guys to go ahead and say whatever. Challenge me, talk to me, share your own
About
story.
This VIP party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get into it, okay? VIP party. So here I am. I'm in Toronto. It's the day before I have to speak, and I'm on my bed writing, making notes, feeling great about myself. I'm doing all these kinds of things. I'm just jamming along, right? And I know that there's a VIP party at 7 o'clock. And I'm giving myself all these reasons why I can't go to the VIP party. I got to finish the deck. I'm not rehearsed. I don't need to go to this thing. I don't know anybody. Why would I, what am I doing there? It's too far away. It's cold outside. It's raining.
Every excuse.
I got to do my hair. I got to do something. And there's just all these reasons. And I have this tactic that I use in my mind, and I'm still working on this myself right now. And the tactic is this. What I do is I say, well, if the party begins at 7, I won't show up until 7:30, 7:40, because, nobody, it's cool to show up
Who
late.
wants to be the first person at the party?
Yeah, you don't want to be the first
Loser.
person. But what happens is
That's me.
the invite says from 7 to 9. And so when you get ready and you're dressed and you're ready to go, and then it takes you 10 minutes to get there, you think it's 8:10 at this point. What's the point of going for? It's like a way to self-sabotage and to give myself an excuse not to go. I do this all the time. I drag my heels. It's like my kids. Like, do I have to? And that's what I'm saying to myself. Do I have to do this thing? Whatever. The momentum gets me. I'm dressed. I call an Uber. This is a cab. I realized that, but I didn't have a picture of the Uber car. I'm cruising the city.
took that.
It's only a few minutes away, and we wind up at this really cool bar. It's called Barrow.
Ooh, looks very hipster.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It looks even cooler in black and white.
Yeah.
And the noir
So
effect,
hipster.
right? Yeah, you know me. I'm so hipster. You see the velvet rope to get in?
Yeah.
I ask him,
Pretty
there's a VIP party tonight with RGD, Design Thinkers. Like, yeah, come on upstairs. So I walk in, and this is some of the artwork that was on the wall as I walk in. And this is the bar.
Ooh, it's cool.
It's really
Nice.
cool. Beautiful woodwork. Ben Burns would be at
Industrial,
home here.
Yeah, seriously.
This is like leather,
This is his look.
metal, reclaimed wood. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I know one person here. One person I'm supposed to meet here. And his name is Douglas Davis. He's the writer. He's the author of Creative Strategies, The Business of Design.
Oh, yeah, that book.
Yeah, so I'm looking for him, and I'm greeted at the door. And I don't want to hang there. I don't want to hang there because, the host welcomed me and everything. And I feel like, God, I'm such a loser if I just sit here and she has to welcome other people and greet them as well.
So you sit at the bar?
No, so I was like,
So
okay.
hold on, you're already overthinking it, right? Like
I'm already overthinking right
you're
from the
already
get-go.
overthinking it.
Right from the get-go. Well, because, you have that 5 minutes of talking with somebody, and you go through everything that you need to go through. Like,
Yeah.
what's it like tomorrow? What time do I have to show up?
Yeah.
Is this all going to be good? And then you run out of things to say, and it feels like you're just hanging on. You're a little clingy. Like, you're
Yeah.
a total loser.
Yeah.
Like, you have no friends.
Those friends.
You're a total loser, right?
You could just walk away, right? Or
I could turn around and it's like,
just-
thank you very much.
All
and just
right,
walk
good
out the door.
conversation.
And I was thinking, you know what? Let me try to see if I can find anybody that I know. Let me look around this room. And so I have a strategy, and the strategy is to get a drink first. I don't drink alcohol, so I'm gonna get a hard sparkling water. You know what I mean? Like on the rocks, sparkling water.
Sparkling water with a lime.
Yeah, sparkling water with
like
a
a
lime.
drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you say that? Can I get a sparkling
Yeah,
water?
yeah.
Make it look like a drink?
No, I
Thanks.
don't say it like that. I say, can I get a sparkling water with lemon? Like shaken but not stirred. Like I'm very specific about my sparkling water. It's mostly because I need to give my hands something to do.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Because
Yeah,
you
me
know,
too.
like what do you do with your hands? It feels like you're an octopus. And what do you do? So I get the drink,
Yeah.
and I have a very specific strategy. Drink very slowly, because when they give you sparkling waters, they're in very skinny. What are those called? The tumbler. It's like a very skinny glass.
Or flute.
A flute. It's not a flute. That's too fancy. A flute's like for champagne, right?
Champagne.
Yeah. So it's just like I just barely sip it, or I just like make it look like it's the eternal filling water cup. And I'm just sitting there. I'm walking around from front to back. You can see in that photo, it's not a really big room.
No.
There's not a lot of people here. So I'm walking through, and the thing is, gosh, there's groups of people. They're all clustered together. And you think, how do I break into this group? I'm looking for the lone wolf. Aaron knows what I'm talking about.
If you can't see the lone wolf, it's you.
I already know I'm the lone wolf, right? So, I'm scanning the room. I'm like, gosh, where is that dude?
Oh.
Is that the dude?
That is Mr. Douglas Davis. That is him. And then it's like, where are you? I can't find you. And I'm looking around, and I see nobody. I'm working from back to front, front to back, go by the exit, nothing. I'm looking for the bathroom, looking for an excuse to go do something, and just realizing
What is the loneliest number?
it's so lonely.
It
And
really
funny.
is.
I'm going to go through how I'm processing this. And I'm just feeling like, oh, God, this is such a dumb freaking event. What am I doing here? I really need to just go back to the hotel and work on my deck, polish that turd into a diamond, because it's not done. It's not anywhere near done, and I could work on that. Thinking to myself, you're a total loser.
Man.
You're in
Now
Canada.
we're
You're in
going
Toronto.
this shame spiral.
Yeah, it is a shame spiral. And it's just like everybody knows everybody. You're so awkward and weird. What's going on, right? And then immediately I start to regret. I regret that. Aaron, what are you doing? I regret that Aaron's distracting me with stuff.
Sorry.
2 new ones. Okay, more stuff is coming in. All right. I start to regret ever coming here. I started saying, you're so stupid. Like, why? This is a bad decision. You're going to waste 2 hours. Why do this?
Damn, all these negative thoughts.
A lot of negative
Just
thoughts.
Keep going.
So you know what the next thought is?
Escape plan.
Let's get out of here. Let's totally get out of here. Right? I just want to leave.
Yeah.
But as I'm thinking about that, getting out, I'm thinking about that demon, that voice who says, just get out of here. This is not your thing. You don't need to be here. The event's tomorrow. And this is where I start to get angry with myself. So I highlighted the word rage inside of courage. This is how I'm able to overcome my internal demons. Just like me saying, get up, you lazy bastard. Like, get off the mat. Suck it up. You can run another mile. Whatever it is, I get mad at myself. I really do. And I say, you know what? I don't care now. You're feeling shameful. You're feeling embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
But look, everything's still okay. I'm not bleeding. You know? So
Yeah.
what? Everybody thinks I'm a total loser. Like, who's that bald Asian guy who's like standing in the corner by
And
himself?
probably
It's like
no one's thinking that.
none of this is happening. It's all
and
happening in your
all
mind.
head. That's the thing that's funny. No one's like, who's that weird guy?
Everyone's probably worried about themselves,
Yeah.
just like you're worried about yourself.
Well, they're
so
worrying about
true.
themselves in groups of 3. I'm the only guy sitting there worrying about myself as one.
But still,
Yeah.
So you know what? I make a game plan. I start
What
to
is it?
think, I can do this. I can do this. So here's what I'm gonna do.
Hold on, what is this? Like what are you trying to do?
I can overcome this, whatever it is. And I'm always out there telling you guys you can do this, that you can go and ask for the money, that you can bid a little higher, you can double your rates, or you can say no to the clients and new clients will come.
Mm-hmm.
And who am I? Am I some freaking fraud? Am I just a total fraud? I just tell people what to do and I don't do anything myself?
you can't do it.
I'm still confused. Like what? So you're standing at the
I'm
bar with a
standing here,
drink,
which seems like eternity.
and you're trying to conquer what? Like what are you trying to do that you're not doing? That you're like,
trying to
I'm gonna do
conquer.
it.
Be social.
I'm trying to conquer my desire to run home
Okay.
because I have no business being here.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have no business being here, and it's
Yeah.
just really uncomfortable. And when you're uncomfortable, you start to perspire. Your heart beats a little faster. It's really awkward.
Yeah.
So my plan is this: my plan on how to overcome this is I make a commitment to myself. And the commitment is this, is I will not leave until the bar closes. So I take the only escape plan away. That's not an option anymore. So I don't care how weird it is. I'm not going to pretend like I'm very social and checking my phone because all these people are blowing up my phone. I'm just going to stand there and look at people. So I position myself to be in the middle of the bar. So you guys remember the bar. I'm going to be in the middle. My back is going to be against the wall. So I can survey people from left to right as I come in from my left and move their way to the back of the bar. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay here until it's done. As if my feet grew roots into the ground and I'm stuck.
Damn, you have a lot of willpower to do that, I must say.
Hold on. A lot of willpower to just stand at a bar and drink your drink?
No, he has a lot of willpower to say to his demon, no, I'm not going home, and I'm going to stand here in front of everyone.
Even though it's awkward and I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a lot of strength to face that.
Yeah, whatever it is that you're most uncomfortable with, Aaron, imagine that and just pushing and persevering through that.
Yeah.
That's what I was going through. Okay? That's what I was thinking. So I'm going to sit here. I'm just going to keep scanning. Just slowly. And thinking, should I go and break a group? I don't even know how to break a group. I have no idea. And then what seems to be an eternity, something happens. Something miraculous happens at that moment in time. I get a tap on the shoulder. I turn around. And this guy reaches out his hands. And I wish I could remember his name right now. Cool British guy, designer, teacher.
With a scarf, probably.
With a scarf. No, he had a scarf.
I knew it.
And he's like a V-neck, cashmere V-neck
Yeah.
shirt. Beautiful color combination, something like that. Shakes my hands like, all my students, the people that I mentor, they watch your show. Just wanted to say hello. And there's my in. Salvation comes in the form of a tap from a stranger.
I feel like that was you were talking about. What's a good way to break a group? That's a good way. Just tap someone, put your hand out, and say hi. I think you're great.
Yeah.
I think you're great.
I think you're great.
All right, Aaron. Next time I bring you to the party where you're totally filled out class and don't know what you're doing, I would like to see you.
I
do
got
that.
you. I'll break it down with my simpleness.
All right, you'll do it. Now I know Molly has no problems going to parties, but
No.
for a person like myself, a party, public speaking, these kinds of things are terrifying. They're
But
terrifying.
why?
Well, I have a problem public speaking, but going
You
to
do?
a party, I'm really okay with. I'm cool.
Molly, what does it feel like when you go to a party? Like same situation as Chris.
I don't have any of those internal struggles that he deals with.
Thanks.
I feel like
Well, talk about yourself. What's
You're
it
such
like
a
for
winner.
you?
no, I'm just
I
saying
do.
I don't have social anxiety. I can go to a party and feel, even if I don't know anyone, I feel like I always am in this situation where someone comes up to me and talks to me, and then there you go.
Nobody ever talks to me.
I don't
So
know.
Erica and myself, we're the wallflowers.
And Aaron too, I think.
Yeah, I'm the same as you, Chris.
So why are you questioning me right now?
What do you mean? I'm not questioning you.
You're like, what's the big deal?
Well, I mean,
Just go touch somebody.
I go through this
Say
all
you're
the time.
cool.
That's all I'm saying. Like, I mean, I feel that.
I don't know. I don't have
Awkwardly.
a problem with it.
You know what?
I said I don't have a problem with it.
You don't have a problem with it.
No.
Okay, so what we have to talk about are the things that we struggle with, and I just want to let you guys know that these are the things, the voices, the demons I have, and I think maybe the only little thing that separates you from getting your goal is your ability to overcome those voices inside your head. And there's this concept of exposure therapy, and those things have helped me a lot. And exposure therapy goes like this, that the more you expose yourself to doing something that you fear, that you hate, that you detest, the more you condition yourself to kind of be numb to it all. You kind of grow callous to the situation. There's a lot of different radical techniques that you can try. I remember seeing a TED Talk, I forget the young guy's name, but he's like, here's the one life hack that you can do to help you get used to things. He would say, go to a public space and just lay on the ground.
What does that do?
First of all, that brings a lot of attention to you. So people come by and say, are you okay? Is everything okay? You just nod, and you become numb to the fact that there's a lot of unwanted attention to you, that you're doing something weird and awkward. Could you imagine doing that, Molly? Like go to the promenade on 3rd Street and just in a busy area, just lay down.
That'd be so weird.
That's weird because there's
It's
no
so
grass
weird.
there. Just like
No, that's not why
Is
it's
that
weird.
really why it's weird?
No, it's weird because you're like breaking society's rules.
That's right. You're doing something that's really awkward and it takes a lot of courage. The other thing that they tell you to do is go and sing in public.
That's
just
hard.
randomly break out in song, especially if you cannot sing.
No, I couldn't do that.
Dude, that'd be embarrassing. I wouldn't want
See what
to
I'm
do
saying?
They
That.
also
So-
say go in an elevator and face the other way. Like,
I've heard that one. That one's pretty easy.
do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, these are all little exercises that you can do
Yeah.
in various forms of escalation in terms of your discomfort. And so when you put yourself through this, when you subject yourself through it, you start to realize that most of the fear is unfounded. Now, I butchered this in a recent video with Melinda and Rebecca, and I talked about what Ian Paget shared with me. It's called CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, and that what you think and what you feel and what you do in terms of your behavior, they're all the same thing. So oftentimes we have an irrational fear of something. If you have an irrational fear of spiders or little creepy crawly things, and you don't know why, chances are it's something that might have happened to you when your mind was still formative, that you experienced something that was very traumatic and you didn't know how to process it from back then. So as you move into the future, that experience, that feeling, that irrational fear, it follows you.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you do this, is you overcome it. So if you have a fear of spiders, let's just say, so then the trick would be then to put your hand and pick up a spider.
Oh man.
And that's what you would do. And over time, you would start to condition yourself to say, you know what? The spider didn't burrow into my hand. I don't have 1,000 eggs inside my skin or whatever it is. It didn't bite me. I wasn't poisoned. I didn't need to be brought to the hospital.
Mine is
It was all
cockroaches.
fine. Well, cockroaches are nasty, just period.
No,
But,
I have like a.
well, I know what to get you for Halloween or Thanksgiving now.
Good
Like,
April
it's
Fool's joke
really,
coming
really
up.
bad. I will.
Pretty
I can't even
much.
kill them. I'll cry. I'll freak out.
You'll cry.
That sounds pretty funny, actually.
No, it's not.
Not funny, just like
Right.
potentially.
Dude.
Potentially.
But yeah.
So I'm gonna put a cap on this story. And say that Douglas Davis did show up.
Okay.
We did take the selfie, and I did have a good time. Then the next day, I was gonna give a talk. Right? That's
Right.
it.
What was the inflection point that went from crappy time to good time?
I think for me, the making the decision to stick it out, that I'm gonna be there no matter what. I think that was a big moment for me in terms of personal growth.
This is the time, so I wrote down some notes of what happened to you. So you got
Okay.
to the party and you identified the demon, which is that I'm super uncomfortable and everyone.
Oh, I
is
know
all
that demon. I
cliquey.
don't even have to identify that
He's
demon.
out.
but yeah,
He was out when you were
He was-
at your house
yeah, he was there at
hours
the beginning.
before.
That's right.
So then it started, the beginning of it getting better was when you made a commitment to yourself to be like, I don't care. Even though it's awkward, I'm going to stay here until 12. Like, that's a hard goal that you made for yourself.
That's right.
And
I'm
then
not going anywhere.
Yeah, and then now this commitment kind of gave you like something to work towards. Now you feel like you're in problem solving mode and I'm going to do this, and it just got better from there. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think once you commit that you remove the escape plan, that's when everything seems to make sense, because the whole time you're wishing to be somewhere else except for there.
Yeah. But a lot of people getting the strength to do that
Yeah.
is almost impossible. You know?
What do you mean impossiple?
Well,
Impossible
for
is just a
them-
word.
Almost, she said.
I said almost impossible for them to be like, this is not an escape plan. Escape plan is not an option. How do you get the strength to get there?
Okay, let's talk about something personal then, Molly. Let's take something that you feel uncomfortable doing, or you have a lot of anxiety over, or Aaron or Erica, and share what you're willing to share, and let's get into it. And then we'll take some questions from our fans on YouTube and Facebook, right? Go ahead and share. I wish I had the ability to zoom the camera into your face, but I do not. Soon, one day,
Wait,
I'm gonna
so
have a remote control for
who's
that.
going first, Molly?
Whoever wants to go.
I mean, I just have a struggle with confidence when it's talking about design.
Okay.
That's my internal struggle.
Talking about or
I mean,
doing?
doing,
Okay.
showing my work, or not just showing my work, but comparing my work to others, which we've touched on this before.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, my demon there is just saying that I'm good enough. You know, my work is okay, and not comparing it to others, and not putting so many negative words in my head when I'm doing something that hinders my progress.
Well, is it? Because I think I feel that a little bit. Is it, Molly,
Me
that
too.
you feel like, why am I not as good as some of the other people here?
Yeah.
And then you start wondering, because that ties into all kinds of other things about you, deep things like, did I make the right choices, or what is it about me? What did I do wrong type things?
Yeah, or like,
You know?
why can't I do this faster?
Okay, so it's about performance and speed.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Dr. Doe's in the house. Write this down. Performance and speed. It's curious to me that you lack confidence when it comes to design when your chosen profession is design. It's not as if I chose my profession as professional party goer or public personality, although I'm mutating into becoming that right now.
Yeah.
That was not my path. If you had given me 10 choices and one of them was public speaking, that's the last one I would pick no matter what. And this is relating back to my own childhood here. You know, when you would have to do a oral book report, those are just the worst. I would just try to figure a way not to have to speak. And luckily, I had some really great teachers who had just enough flexibility, who recognized my anxiety around it and gave me a lot of leeway. So they would allow me to make a video or to make posters, and I would present just holding those things up. So I wouldn't have to say anything. So I devised creative solutions around a deficiency, a weakness, a perceived weakness. And so I was able to do that. But here you are, you've chosen to become a graphic designer, coming from trying out being a chef. Like you studied the culinary arts, right?
Yeah.
A baker, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what your other path was, and you didn't like that. You switched gears,
Yeah.
and you became a graphic designer. So why would one choose something that's so uncomfortable or something that you have some anxiety over? Why would you do that? I admire that, by the way. I'm just asking from a rational point of view.
I think it's just the shame, uncomfortableness is coming from comparing myself to other people, which, you know, this is something that I work on, and I feel like I am getting better, and I definitely have made progress on this. But I think it's because coming from a background of not being born as a drawer or being born as a
Artist, traditional artist.
yeah, and coming from this place of like it's a learned thing, and I went to school and I definitely know it. You know, I'm more confident now than I ever have been, but I still have moments of vulnerability and shame, maybe when it comes to my work, when sharing it, or I'm just thinking like, oh, like this isn't good. I don't want to show this. I don't feel good about this. And I guess because creativity, to be creative is to be vulnerable in a way.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's just showing, you know, your work, your stuff, your life.
But is it you that you're thinking it's not good enough, or you're thinking other people won't think it's good enough?
I think
That's a good question, Aaron. That's a really good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I think
it's you
both.
thinking other people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's both. It's the talk that's going in my head is thinking that, yeah, other people won't think it's good enough. But then also, I think I set a lot of high standards for myself. And
Me too.
So I'm like, this isn't good enough. You know, I compare these two. I'm like, why doesn't this look like this? You know, why doesn't this look like someone else's piece? Yeah, that I'm looking at.
So you're comparing to someone else's else.
And
Because I was thinking that, Chris, I think those inner voices that everyone has that you talked about when you go to your party, it's really not your voice. It's what you think other people are thinking about you. But it's your inner voice, but it's just what you think other people think about you.
That's true. Like that bald Asian guy, what is he doing? Standing there
Yeah,
wearing
that's not
something?
your inner voice. I mean, it is, but it's what you think other people think about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Well, as Molly's talking about this, I've been taking some notes, and she's been talking about a very critical voice that she hears in her head, a very judging voice. And whenever I talk to anybody, myself included, and I trace back the steps, like where'd that voice come from? Whose voice is that? And I'm going to tell you guys exactly where my voice comes from, because I think I have some awareness about that. And I want to talk a little bit more about vulnerability. I think we're getting somewhere good with this, okay?
Yeah, me too.
So Molly and Aaron, if you dare, think about where that voice comes from. Where did you first hear that voice? And oftentimes it's somebody who holds a lot of influence over your life, a parent, an older sibling, a teacher, somebody, maybe some boy or girl you had a crush on in your life, and they just destroyed you. Like you made them a piece of artwork, and they're like, "That's stupid. Get out of me, you ugly face!" Right?
I got mine.
I'm glad
One of
someone
my
got
voices,
triggered.
I've identified it.
Okay, hold your voice, Aaron. Write your voice down so you don't forget.
Okay.
I have a point to make here. Okay? Some of you guys know this. If you're tuning in for the first time or you're watching this show out of sequence, which I understand because we're at 400 episodes now, and if you're jumping in, I was not born in this country. I was born in Vietnam, and I came here as a refugee. We basically lost everything in our life. So we started at the very bottom of the socioeconomic ladder, at the very bottom rung, not speaking English, not understanding the culture. It's simple ideas. I'll share a concept with you. My uncle, when he would tell me this story, it would just make me laugh so hard. I was like, you fob. And fob is an acronym that Asians know. It means fresh off the boat, F-O-B. Okay? He drove with his wife before he had children. He drove by and he's like, America's so great. Like, even in America, they have garages for sale. Like, you don't have to buy the whole house. You can just buy the garage. So he said to his wife, my aunt, one day I'm going to buy you that garage. I can't say I buy the whole house. What he didn't realize is just them selling goods out front. This is how different the culture was and our understanding. He went into a McDonald's or a Pizza Hut and sat down. And he's like, why is everybody getting food? Everybody's eating this wonderful food. What happened? And so it wasn't until they realized they had to actually go up to the counter and order it themselves, because the idea of a fast food restaurant didn't even exist for them.
There's no fast food in Vietnam?
Not at that time, I suppose. They're sit-down restaurants and that's it. I think fast food is like an American creation that is now proliferated around the world due to globalization, but that didn't happen. Okay, so think about that for a minute. That's how different our culture was. And coming out from the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder, we went through a lot of different neighborhoods. And the neighborhoods began with poor people, and ultimately it became not poor people. And each time I was there, I never fit in. So I got picked on, and I'm not a big dude. I'm 5'8". I'm not athletic by any stretch of the imagination, and I was into the things that get you beat up for. I was into comic books, skateboarding, Dungeons and Dragons, playing video games, things that bigger dudes will pick on you for, but I didn't really care. Didn't care. So the culture, the group of people that I grew up around, I don't think this was imagined, made me very aware, you do not belong. You are not one of us, because I'm going to kick your butt after school. I remember even around Asian kids, they're like, let's fight. I'm like, why? I didn't even do anything. Right? Because when you grow up in these other neighborhoods, what boys do immediately at the beginning is to establish their supremacy over you, their dominance over you, to show you, I'm the big dog. It's like the whole prison yard thing. When you go to prison, you just fight the toughest guy to establish, like, I'm not to be trifled with.
Wait, so why were they fighting you? If you
just because, they don't pick the guy who knows Kung Fu. It's not a 10th degree black belt. They pick on the guy who can't defend himself. So I'm getting into scraps all the time. And what made it a little bit more difficult for me is we moved around a lot. Every time my dad would get a new job, we'd relocate and we'd move out of a lower economic to a lower middle class, and then to a middle class neighborhood, then the upper middle class, then an upper class neighborhood. And we went through this, and it caused a lot of anxiety for me because I was a stranger again. I was never the guy who knew people.
And I feel like if you're always going up the socioeconomic ladder, there's always this thing where you feel like you're just the humble, poor, broke guy among the rich guys, and you don't fit in. So that's like another. Yeah,
and you just want to fit in, right? In junior high and high school, you don't want to be the guy that stands out. You don't want to be different. And all I was different. From the things that we ate, the language we spoke at home, the cultural differences. I'll even tell you a little embarrassing story. Like I switched over to a different elementary school, Allen Elementary in San Jose, from the school that I was going to. And I remember the first time they would pass out these cups of fluoride rinse. And for whatever reason, my previous school, they never gave us fluoride rinse. And you know what I did with that? I swished my mouth and I swallowed it. Because I didn't know what you're supposed to do with it. And the kid next to me, a friend of mine, is like, what did you just do? You're not supposed to drink that. I'm like, oh. So that's how different it was. So this is me trying to adjust to every culture and group around me. And the biggest fear that I had in school, I went to public school, guys, mind you, was who am I going to eat lunch with? Because I know eventually lunchtime comes around. Am I going to be the kid who sits there with my brown bag sandwich with an apple, just sitting there by myself?
I hated lunchtime too.
Oh, so now you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Now you know the pain.
High school is not fun.
You didn't have any friends, Molly?
I moved too, so.
Oh, so you didn't have friends.
High school was a hard adjustment.
I thought people came up to you and talked to you and everything always worked out.
That's at parties. That's
okay.
You know how people say high school is the best years of your life?
That's
no one says that.
That's rubbish.
No, people do say that.
Some people
say that.
People do say that.
You
Complete
haven't
rubbish.
I don't know.
Let me clarify.
The best
Let me clarify.
years.
The people who ruled high school are the ones who say high school is the best years of your life. The
And now they're
cheerleaders,
losers.
the
Just
jocks,
kidding.
right? The metalheads, whoever ruled high school, the good-looking, athletic people, the people who grew beards really fast, who were strong and had that muscular build, whatever, they enjoyed high school very much. I was not part of that group.
Me neither.
That's for sure. And I'm pretty sure a lot of creative people weren't part of that group. Erica, you want to say something?
I was actually very nuanced in school. Nothing really bothered me. Of course, I didn't move around, so I was in the same place. It's people were just friendly to me. I didn't really care. Like, I think somebody tried to make fun of me. There were these girls. My brother's 2 years older than me, so he was in 8th grade and I was in 6th grade. And I was just walking to class, and these girls behind me said, "Your brother is cute." I just looked behind me and "You're weird," and then just kept going.
How is that mean or bad?
Well,
It's not even about you.
That's like my Emmy story.
They were making fun of me, like, "Oh, your brother," or
What?
something.
They're talking about your brother and how cute he is.
Doesn't even count.
I don't know. Well, people have tried to. They didn't do it a lot because they realized it didn't work. Like, somebody tried to make fun of me, like. I don't even remember it.
Not the same. Let me just tell you.
Did you wear a hat back then too?
I'm
or
not saying that.
when did the hat start?
I'm saying that it's like mine. I'm the complete opposite of you guys. I'm not even close to what you guys went through. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not comparing myself to you. I'm just like, it's. I don't know your experiences.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
You can't relate to what we're saying.
Let me
No.
pull it back. Let me just even tell you guys, and I've said this in other videos before. It was not an imagined slight. Like, you guys say it's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. And trust me, for the first 16, almost 17 years of my life, it was not in my mind. I was literally walking down the aisleway of a supermarket, and some Latino girl would yell out, "Chink!" It's like she didn't even know me. Just throwing out racial slurs at me. And in junior high, I was like, I don't know why. I'm just walking down the street, across the street from a bunch of girls. I don't even know if they're popular girls, but for whatever reason, they're really angry. And they yelled out racial slurs at me again. I was like, gosh. And then my Caucasian friends were like, just ignore them. Just ignore them. So it's not an imagined thing. So these are the voices that I carry and the demons I have to deal with, but I know where they come from. That was a long way for me to try to give Molly some space to find out the things that happened to her, that are always questioning her, that are always judging her, that are saying this isn't good. Because I found out from my therapist and also from my business coach that when somebody says something to us and we have a strong reaction, very rarely is it because we're reacting to that one statement in this moment. We're reacting to something that happened to us in the past, and the reaction that we give is much stronger than the one that is warranted.
Right.
Because we couldn't defend ourselves back then. So if you had a parent that always put you down, or somebody who was always made fun of you, who used certain words around you, let's say you have a dumb nickname, right? Like Pooh Bear or something, and they would call you that, and kids would tease you. So somebody in your adult life says, "Oh, hey, Pooh Bear," and you're like, "Oh," and you just punch them in the face, and that's the end of that. And it's like, what? I thought that was a term of endearment between us. And you never use those words again. Because as a kid, you couldn't defend yourself. So Molly, before the show's over, whose voice are you hearing inside your head? Where does that come from?
I feel like it's this one guy that used to bully me in high school or middle school, because my parents talk to me. My mom is so supportive and so loving. She's like always giving me words of encouragement. So I know it's not coming from her. I did get bullied a lot in middle school. So I feel like those people maybe are the voices that I'm hearing. One guy in particular, because he was really mean. But
What kind of things? What did they say to you?
Are you comfortable sharing? You never have to answer anything Aaron asks. Just
Yeah.
what you're comfortable with, okay?
I don't. No, I'm not comfortable sharing.
Okay.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
share if you're not comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, what else then? What else can we talk about? So there's one bully in particular that was just making your life miserable, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a group of them, but there's like the pack leader of the group.
The
So
leader.
a group of bullies?
But
Yeah.
there was there's always the one guy that's the funny
It was a
witty
mix
guy.
of guys and girls, yeah. But it was when I first moved to this new town when I was younger, and you know, they would just laugh and make fun of me, you know.
And now, how does this manifest itself nowadays, you think?
Well, if Chris is asking me to put a voice to that, that's the thing that stands out to me the most.
Like it's that guy saying, "Oh, your designs suck. You suck. Whatever." Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like that's the thing that just sticks out right now. I'm trying to think if there was more of a parent figure in my life that was harsh on me.
See, I got something here I want to ask you, Chris. Like,
go ahead.
I have voices like that too. Like this one guy in high school, we were sitting at middle school graduation, and I was in my tux. You know, I thought I looked all cool, like 007. And then he was
you
like,
look exactly like 007.
I'm sure I didn't, but I felt like I did. I felt good, and I was about to graduate. Summer's coming up, and then I was sitting next to this guy because his name was Jeff Soley. I'm calling him out right now, Jeff Soley.
Soley?
And he was this really cool white guy, and he skateboarded, and he was like kind of a stoner, cool guy. And like I really was into skateboarding, but I really sucked at it. So I had all the clothes and the shoes, but I was a terrible skateboarder. And then he just turned over to me and said something. I don't even remember what he said, but it was something like he called me fatty because I was chubby back then.
Oh yeah.
And then it just like really hurt my feelings. You know?
Yeah.
And then that's one of the voices in my mind, you know? But then
is that who you thought of?
No, but now, so keeping my story going, like now one of the voices in my head is Chris Doe's voice, you know? Like, you know, make it better, or whatever. All the things you teach, now that's one of the voices. So like it's like now that one kind of replaced the old ones. So you got to just let new people in to take the space of those old ones, you know?
Oh, I like that. I like where you're going with that. And while you're talking here, I'm doing a little illustration of what I imagine. This from my older brother, and he would always tell me, and he's 4 years older than I am, he says bullies pick on people that think they're weak, so regardless of what happens to you, you must stand up to them. And I remember in junior high, there were a group of 3 guys, 3 big strong dudes, and my friend Eddie and I were the opposite of that. And they would come to me and say, give me your lunch money. I was like, no, why would I do that? Just because we're gonna kick your butt. I'm like, you're gonna have to then. And I wasn't delusional. I knew they could do it. They could fully well do it. But the minute I gave them the money, what happens to my life, right? Yeah. It's like, no, I'm not going to give it to you, man. We'll do what you want to do. And so they went to Eddie, and they did take money from Eddie. They took his money. They took his lunch money, and Eddie gave it to them. And Eddie would always say, well, you could say what you can say because you have an older brother who can come in and help you. I'm like, my brother's nowhere near here. He's not going to come to junior high and take care of my business for me. Yeah. I mean, he would have if he was there, but he's not going to do that. And ultimately, what happened to those 3 guys is they got arrested and thrown out of school because Eddie did go and tell the superintendent, and they got into a lot of trouble for doing that. But this is where like my fighter persona comes in. This is why the voice that overcomes the weakling voice, the voice that gets picked on, is the voice I had to channel from my older brother saying, you must stand up to them, you must stand up to them, and you must fight them. You got to overcome this. So stop feeling self-pity, stop wallowing in whatever weakness sauce that you're wallowing in, and pull yourself up and get the job done.
And your story, it sounds like you didn't pull yourself up, your brother pulled you up, right?
What do you mean?
Like your brother's the one that told you, stand up to them, you know?
Yeah, like I would ask him for advice. He was my mentor in life because my dad wasn't like, what is a bully? What is racial slurs? He didn't even know what that would mean. Yeah. Right?
I guess that's my point. Like, it doesn't need to come from inside of you. It could be, that's why you got to surround yourself with good people.
I feel like, talking about that, I feel like I always had a hard time standing up for myself, and I still do, but always I had people in my life that would do it for me. And maybe that hindered my process of standing up for myself. Yeah. But either a friend would come to my savior, my older sister. She really knows how to stand up for me if someone's getting hard on me. And I don't know. That's just what I was thinking. It's hard. It's hard.
You're talking about the sister that was just here, Leia?
No, the oldest one. She's a mouthful.
Okay.
But
Wait, which
but
one's a mouthful? The
oldest
one I didn't meet?
Yeah,
Okay.
like she just will. If someone's hard on me, she will. I wish she was here, Chris. Actually, she'll go after them. But
So you're saying people like that make you weaker?
I don't know. I'm thinking now is like I do have such a hard time standing up for myself, and even to those bullies that someone would always come to my rescue, and I still need to learn how to speak up for myself. I'm trying, and I feel like I'm working on it, but it's always been hard for me.
Okay, I want to touch upon what Aaron was talking about, and he said, well, it's not your voice, somebody else did it for you. And I think somebody gives you that idea, the inception of concept,
Yeah.
a kernel of a thought, but if you don't allow that to become fertile in your mind,
Right.
it floats away like dust in the wind.
You gotta let it in, and
So
yeah.
you need to realize it actually is your voice. It's just the question of where you get that information from and whether or not you hold on to it. So when Matthias was here, he talked about be skeptical, right? Trust people, but be skeptical. And I said, no, I think just trust people. That would be my mantra. Find somebody that you trust and just listen and don't be skeptical, because that skepticism is that shield around your mind that doesn't let the ideas through. And I've become particularly adept at being able to listen for bits and pieces of information and take only the good parts and leave all the bad parts behind. That way I don't have to agree with 98% of what you say, who you are, your life mission, and whatever it is that makes up who you are. I can just take the parts that I want and put them in my brain and plant that seed and allow it to grow. So a piece of advice coming from a total stranger, a young person, whoever, some internet person says, hey, consider doing this. If it's a good idea, I will do that. And that's how I'm able to overcome it. But I channeled that moment, and I have to remember that there was that kid who didn't get pounded on, I would say. Like, I didn't get dumped in a trash can or get wedgies or whatever, but I did get into physical fights with people. And some you win, some you lose. And through that process, I did realize one truth, is if you stand up to your fears, they will leave you alone. But if you turn away, if you give in to them, you will never escape them. And that's a lesson I learned from Eddie. That's a lesson I learned by watching all these scrawny guys get picked on, and they just wouldn't defend themselves. And that's it. And that's why, like, I look at my own life now and I say, look, what you're exhibiting right now is something that I don't like. And I'm talking about myself. This is the internal dialogue. I don't like this. Get yourself out of bed right now. Don't take the easy way out. Do what needs to be done. And each time you do that and you're rewarded for it with this high, this energy, this feeling of accomplishment, that you can do anything that you set your mind to do. So Miss Molly, this one bully that picked on you, for whatever reason they picked on you, is still persistent. That's the voice. So you got to replace that voice with a healthier voice. And this is what Aaron was saying, which is swap out the guy who called you fatty with some other healthier voice. I'm not sure that that's my voice. I'm not saying just put my voice in there, but for Aaron, it's working. And I've seen him change a lot in the last year and a half. He's gone through his whole arc. And truth be told, he was a little scruffy. He was a little out of shape before, wearing open-toe shoes with the gnarly toenails. And look at him today.
I saw those.
Now he's like a model citizen, you know?
Look at
I
that.
mean, still a little scrappy, but
A little scrappy. Well, you know, you can take the boy out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the boy. So a little bit of that still exists. Let's turn it over before we wrap up here. Let's talk to some people on YouTube and on Facebook.
Let's talk.
What do they want to say? What do they want to talk about?
Scroll up, let's see.
Okay, let's see. Let me
What
see.
are you
I'm
saying?
scrolling.
And I should
Okay.
check too,
Face your fears.
Face your fears.
Let's see. Dive
Yeah.
deep.
You keep scanning, don't worry.
I am.
I'm gonna go into YouTube. I'll do Facebook. You're doing
you
YouTube?
do Facebook.
Well, let me get on
'cause I'll
Facebook.
do on YouTube. So
All right.
See.
Let's see what happens.
Loving
Here.
the realness. Let's see.
Are you guys enjoying this broadcast,
Molly
guys?
hears command key in her head. That's true. Chris, your
Command.
voice is in there.
God.
Yeah.
Someone, Harry Liang said, standard Asian immigrant experience.
Pretty standard.
Let me see.
You just called me standard.
Chris, how many hats do you have there? That's a
Oh, good segue.
Yeah.
How many hats? No, let them wonder. I have lots of hats.
Let me see.
Lots and lots of hats. I mean,
I would love to hear from some designer that was really cool in high school.
Yeah, or
they don't exist, do they?
yeah, they do.
They do?
Somebody said that they
They're
were
so angry
creative and
about
they
it.
were popular.
Who was creative and popular? Well, good for you.
I wonder what high school is like nowadays, if it's changed at all.
It hasn't changed.
I think it has changed.
Why would it change?
Because if you're smart and different, that's cool now, right?
I think that's in an alternate universe. Because why would it be cool now when it wasn't cool then?
Well, nerddom is cool now.
Yeah,
so.
you know, like shows like The Big Bang Theory, they made nerds cool.
All right. What we can do is we can have some high school students. Sean Campbell's one. Sean, tell us what it's like in high school. Tell me that being nerd and socially awkward. Because the idea is that we internalize our process, right? We go inward. So we don't have the best verbal communication skills. We're uncomfortable. We're not so self-aware. We don't know how to read whether or not people are digging what we're saying. So some of us get really quiet. Some of us talk too much, and that's what happens.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I got a question. How many times do we have to be vulnerable to be confident?
I don't know if they're sure those two ideas are linked.
Yeah.
Vulnerability and confident?
I feel like you should always be vulnerable. At least those are the words of Brene Brown.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Would you describe me as confident, Molly?
Yes.
Would you describe me as vulnerable?
Not really.
So those ideas, at least for me, they don't work together.
Yeah.
So we can explore this a little bit deeper.
But you can
Go
have
ahead.
vulnerable moments.
I have
mean,
vulnerable moments.
I haven't seen many, but
I shared 3 of them with you right now.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, you got
I didn't
the
get
line
I didn't
right.
get vulnerability from you, dude.
Yeah.
I felt
What?
like you're just telling me because you're thinking this will help people relate to me, so I'll tell this story.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I didn't feel real. I
I-
feel like because to be vulnerable, I have to feel it.
Yeah, you'll be like, oh, like I want to
Yeah,
give you
like-
a hug
my-
right now, Chris.
you know?
I didn't feel
People
a
picking
hug.
on
I'm
me.
feeling the cold steel tick of the metal
people
heart,
like-
dude.
I want more vulnerability from you.
Yeah, I
Look,
feel
let
like
me-
you
let me
haven't
tell
dug
you
deep enough.
One of the stories of one of my earlier fights, okay? Let me just tell you what happens. Just the standard Asian experience, or whatever. Like, deal with it, whether it's standard or not standard. I'm just going to tell my story. So my younger brother, he's only a year younger than me, so we have a lot of overlap. We go to the same school, same things happen, and he's smaller than I am. And back then, he's not as strong as he is today. And he was the last kid, so he's got the whole little guy syndrome, right? And I think it's like the first or second day in a new school. We just transferred to Allen Elementary School. And I tell you, there's 3 dudes. There was like 2 Caucasian dudes and 1 Latino, and they were just the biggest guys in our class. They would just group together. And so during recess, we're playing pogo, like the red ball that bounces, whatever. And we're playing it, and my brother looks over to me. He's like really sad. He's almost like teary-eyed. And I'm like, what happened? He says, they stepped on my lunch. Like, he left his lunch with like little grape juice and a peanut butter jelly sandwich
In a brown bag.
in a brown bag, and they walked over and they just stepped on it. And so it just smashed into 100, and it's like grape juice everywhere. He
Squished
can't
it,
eat it. It's
yeah.
all jacked up. And I went over to the guys. I'm like, "What do you guys do?" He's like, "Oh, it was an accident." I'm like hell it was. And then I got into a fight with him. This is the life that you grow up in, and it's like, this is
Yeah.
it. So it's like, you know what? Let's fight after school. I'm like,
Oh my God.
yeah. The old, I'll call you out by the dugout. First of all, I don't even know what the dugout is. I'm like, where's that? And are all
The
3 of you guys
dugout?
going to show up?
That's the worst because now all day ruins your whole day because you're
Yeah,
just thinking
think about
about
the
having
fight.
to meet up and
Well, I
if you
was
should
angry.
bail.
I
It's
was
like,
really angry.
But then by the time you get there, it's like the anger dissipates. Like
It doesn't even matter. It didn't even
Right.
matter. So that's kind of the thing I'm talking about. I mean, what do you want from me, Aaron? What do you want from
no,
me?
I was just commenting, man.
No, tell me how I'm not vulnerable. I'm pulling my heart out to you. You're like,
I feel like it's like an
scripted.
oxymoron because
Do you-
like to be vulnerable, you have to not want to tell the story because
have
it's
to be
really
uncomfortable
yeah, you have to be
almost.
uncomfortable, but you're comfortable all the time, so it's hard for you
I
to
don't-
be vulnerable.
I don't agree with that logic. To be vulnerable, you have to not want to talk about it.
For it to be
let me share
truly-
something. Let me share something here.
Sure.
I talked to a casting director. His name is Jorge. And he was telling me when we're looking for an actor, we want people to be very vulnerable because we don't want people to act. We want people to react. And he was explaining this to me because he works with actors all the time. So in a situation, we want their true emotional side to come out. So that's why you see some of the best actors, they have a lot of the imposter syndrome because they're extremely vulnerable. And they say vulnerable people make great artists because you're in touch with that emotion. And so they're not acting. Like when somebody says something mean in a character, they respond either with anger or fear or,
Right.
or whatever.
They really
it is.
get upset.
They really do get upset. That's how the
Yeah.
tears start coming down because they feel that.
Yeah.
And it puts you in a very dangerous spot because in real life, you have to be able to switch that off. And I don't think you can.
In real life, you have to switch what off?
That kind of level of vulnerability, just like always being so vulnerable to everything because you're susceptible to external stimulation. Now, my life theory is this, is that there's something that governs your well-being, your state of mind, your happiness, your joy, your depression, whatever it is that controls that part. Why would you ever take all that thing that's you and how you feel and hand it over to somebody else, give them the remote control? Why would you do that? That doesn't make sense to me.
I have a counter to that.
Well, first of all, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if somebody walks by and says, "Oh, your design is amazing," and you're like, "Woo, wow," it's like, my teacher said that, my boss said that, I am amazing.
And you feel great.
And you get that high.
Yeah.
I know that.
And then what happens is you yearn for that same thing. And so you're kind of pining for it. You become really needy. Like, hey, what do you think about my work? What do you think about? You need constant validation. And this is the first step, I think, to becoming a self-confident whole person, is to be self-validated, not other-validated.
That's good.
To be self-validated.
Yeah.
Like when I look at my, I know it's good. I also know when it sucks. And I look at it, I'm like, God, you're terrible.
Yeah.
But I don't say that with judgment. I take the judgment away. I say, that's terrible, let's make it better. That's not good, but let's make it better. Or that is good. So winning awards does nothing for me. It does zero.
Well,
No validation.
How did you get that way? How did you make it internal?
Great question, Erica. Let me ring the bell for that. Let me turn off that little silly app. But let me tell you how I think I did it. Being a super introverted, shy guy, I was not one to speak. Like, I don't want to hear my own voice. I think I say words funny, whatever it is. I don't want to talk. So I went internal. And I started to study, like, why do you think these things? And then I would sit there and, like, move through this world and kind of figure out, like, why are you feeling this way? I'll give you an example. When I was younger, I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and we would get money for Lunar New Year. And that's, like, the biggest payday. And it happens in February. You get these little red envelopes, my non-Asian friends, and they put money in it. Sometimes it's $1, $2, $20 if you're really lucky, you got a rich uncle, and you get money. And I remember we would all collect our money, and we'd get different amounts because everybody has their favorites. And so I would put my money together, and I remember walking around with $10, feeling on top of the world. That moment in time was like, $10 is a lot. What am I going to do with this $10? Just contemplating the ways I'm going to spend that. And I don't know what happened. I lost the $10. I could not find it. I went everywhere. It's like, Mom, did you see my money? And she's like, no. And I asked my brother, did you guys see my money? And I come back to my mom. Mom, I think somebody stole my money. She goes, we're family here. Nobody would take your money. Nobody. Think you lost it.
You tried to blame somebody first.
First is like blame.
Who can I blame
First
for this?
First is like you regret, and then you think, who can I blame? Whose fault is this? Because this could not possibly be mine because I was walking around with $10 like I own the world. And you know, I'm sad, I'm crying, I'm like, oh, $10 is gone, it's so stupid. And I go through the exact same process I shared with you guys. You're so dumb, you're so irresponsible, you never get that money again, you're so foolish. What could you have done? Look at all these things. I remember even at 9 years old, I started to have this kind of outer body experience looking at myself crying and saying, let's realize something here. No amount of crying will bring that $10 back. Like, it's like there's no point in crying over spilled milk. You can't put the milk back in the cup. It's gone.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about this? So sitting here feeling self-pity, feeling foolish is not a positive feeling. I don't want to feel this way. I want to change this. So what do we learn from this lesson? We learn if we get money, let's keep it in one secure place. Let's not run around with money like showing off and just being braggadocious about it. Put it away. So to this very day, I keep things in a very consistent space. So my money goes into this place and it goes by my drawer, my glasses, my phone, they all exist in the exact same place because at 9, I realized this is not what I want to deal with. So that process began really early for me to sit there and evaluate and go inward. That is the gift. I think the secret power of introverts is that your mind can overcome a lot. You just have to be willing to listen to and have the courage to follow through. I hope that was helpful. Erica.
Was.
Next.
Yeah, I'm still thinking, processing.
Okay, cool. I don't know why I can't comment.
They said that we were being too hard on you, by the way.
Who?
Spring Nicole on YouTube said, wow, they're being so hard on him.
That's okay. You can be as hard as you want on me.
And then someone said,
Iron sharpens iron, man.
Chris does a lot of talking about feelings and going into therapy in his teachings, so he does show his vulnerable side.
Thank you.
True.
Thank you.
But yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I say to people is, why do you give an F what people think? Why do you give an F what the client says? Why do you care about any of these things? It doesn't matter to you at all. Mr. Aaron Draplin, he says this all the time. He's like, I've won exactly 0 awards. I've applied for no awards. Why does he need that external validation? I love that. I love that. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
But don't you want to know what other people think about you?
For what reason?
Because that helps you know who you really are.
Do other people know who you are?
Well, yeah.
Strangers?
Well, I think
It's like a different perspective.
Well, I'm curious about what other people think because I want to make sure I'm not living in some kind of self-delusional land
Yeah.
that I'm the hairiest guy I know. I'm like, that's not true. People
Or like,
will say that.
What
I get
about
that.
what about? Isn't it useful to know how you make other people feel, like how the things you do affect other people?
I don't know.
You don't
What do you
know
mean?
if that's like a good thing.
I
I mean,
don't
I
know.
think I want to know. I'm just asking because I mean, you're very staunch in your position that don't care what anyone thinks. But I feel like what Molly was saying the other day, she likes to make other people happy. She wants other people to like her, and like that doesn't sound necessarily like a bad thing.
Well, I'm going to look up a quote right now. I'm going to find it, okay?
I feel like everyone, you don't go around thinking, like, I don't want people to like me. Or you go around life, like, wanting to make connections because life is all about making connections. So I feel like you have to know. I don't know if it's like the term wanting people to like you is correct.
Yeah, maybe we got to be careful with how we say it.
The
But
way you word it, but you want to make connections in life and
Yeah, like-
obviously have them to be positive connections,
right.
right?
Yeah, do you guys know who that comedian who used to, he's an old timer, he's already passed away. He used to do the USO tour and he would try to entertain the troops.
Bob Hope?
Bob Hope. Is it Bob Hope? Let me look him up. Yes, it is Bob Hope. Let me look up his quote here and I want to share it with you because I don't want to butcher this, you guys, about getting older. I think it's from him. Well, you know what? I'm going to use the power of the intelligence of the group that watches our show. I think it's Bob Hope, but the quote goes something like this. And I apologize in advance. I'm totally screwed up, but I think I got the sentiment. So hang in there with me, you guys. The quote is something like this. Like, in my 30s, I cared what people said. And in my 40s or my 50s, I stopped caring what people said about me. And then in my 60s, I realized nobody was ever talking about me. The wisdom that comes with age is that nobody cares. Nobody is sitting around spending their life thinking about how well you're going to do, how not well you're going to do. Like Aaron said at that party, he's like, it's all in your head. Of course it's in my head because nobody's saying it because I'm not important enough for even people to be thinking about that. It's all in my own head. So I've just come to that realization earlier on than not. So I don't care what you think. I care what I think about what I think. And that's how you have this kind of healthy mindset. And I'm trying to be able to distill the tools or the mechanisms that I have so that if you're going through this, if you're struggling, you're like, he makes it sound easy. How do I know what I know? I'm trying to distill that to you guys through the internet, through little posts, little articles to help you overcome these things. But I've stopped caring what people think a long time ago. People write very mean things about me. Can you believe it? They call me a jerk. They call me a pompous a-hole. They're like, and that's putting it mildly. Call me whatever you want. And I don't feel that at all. I don't.
Yeah.
And I remember this other discussion I had in philosophy class about emotions and feelings when I was in college, okay? The philosophy class went something like this. And it said, if I look at the graph of my highs and my lows in terms of my feeling from wanting to commit suicide as the lowest low and just pure euphoric, just jubilation, the highest high you can get. I said, well, I would rather trim a little bit of the high and remove some of the low so that my graph looks like this. Because I want to stay in a constant state of happiness. I don't need to get to extreme bliss. I'm never going to go into the deep, dark shallows because I don't want to be there. If I have to trim that off, I'm okay. So the inverse is true. So if you say, like, if somebody's calling you a pompous a-hole, you jerk, you effing this and that, which they do say, they say that, I just clip that part off. That also means that when people are like, oh my God, you're life-changing, you're my hero, Christo's a God, I also don't feel those either. I do read them, I do process them, but it's not like, whoa, oh my God, it made my day.
Well, why is it bad to feel good when someone
Because the
says,
inverse
hey,
is
that's great.
also true. It's hard for me to turn that off.
it's hard to turn it off, so you just turn them both off.
I turn them
pretty
off.
much.
I just clip them. It's like taking the levels in Photoshop and going, wah, wah, and then that's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay without the dark darks and the high highs. I'm good with that.
Okay.
That's a good. Yeah, I agree with that
Is that okay?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned that from you too. But
That's why things don't make me upset like they would normal people. The only thing that's going to be my trigger point, I'm not going to share with this group. I'll share with you guys later what my trigger point is. And if you go there, it's time to throw down again. And I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
I have a question for you,
Go
Chris. Is there anything you're trying to do right now that you're just not able to do?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Give it a little context because there's lots of things I'm trying.
Well, I mean, it can be anything. Just like, I don't know, you're trying to, some context.
Okay,
What do you mean
I'll
context?
give it to you. Here's one thing that I would like to have happen in my life that I have not been able to achieve. But do I really want this thing? I don't know because I'm questioning myself. First of all, let me just tell you guys something. I'm in the best shape of my life, period. Period. However, I want that certain physique that I've never been able to get. I look at those images of like guys that have 6 or 8 packs down here, and I just don't have that. Now, I believe I can get it. It means I have to make certain sacrifices and I have to prioritize certain things over others. But that's something that I want that I have not been able to get. The closest I've been able to get is to get a 4-pack. But the last 2, man, those things are hard to get out.
Let's see what you got right now. What are you
All right,
working
here we
with?
go. No. We won't go there. But I think if I drop probably like 10, 15 pounds, I will get there.
But hold on, that sounded a little like, I mean...
Well, you asked me what I've...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
question
answered
was
your
very
question. Is this
broad.
something I want?
But basically, you don't want that. Because you're like, I'm not
kinda
willing
want
to
it.
give
I
up.
kind of want it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, and I want to be consistent here if I can be, is that people say, I want to do this, I want to achieve that, and they don't have that. I say, well, you really don't want it. It's obvious you don't want it because you want sleep
Right.
more, or you like desserts more, or sugars, or soda pop,
Right.
and all that kind of stuff, right? So obviously, there's still certain things about me that I'm not willing to go that far. So I say it's something I'd like to have, but it's not something that I prioritize as the highest thing. I'd rather read 3 books than sit there and go run for 10 miles, whatever it is.
I guess I
rather
was
do that.
just curious because I feel like I have things that I'm trying to do that I'm, it's an ongoing struggle. I'm trying to do it. And I really want it. It's not that I have to reprioritize whatever. And I'm sure Molly does too, right? Most people do. And I feel like that says a lot about where you're at in your life and how your mind works is the things you're trying to accomplish that you just haven't accomplished. Like,
Yeah.
the mountains you're trying to climb that you're just unable to climb
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
I keep
not because
slipping off
like,
the mountain.
yeah, like you're slipping. It's not like, oh yeah, I'd rather climb these other mountains, so I'm just kind of not really interested in climbing this one. But if there's nothing you can think of, that's cool. I kind of just sprung that on
you got to choose your battles, right? You got to choose your battles. And I just want to say this. I love this. John Beatty is a friend of ours now. He says, Chris,
He's
I
on
found
the
your
show.
$10. I found your $10. 30 some
Oh,
odd
that's
years
what he
later.
meant.
Yeah, he said, I found your $10. Thank you very much, John. Please. I appreciate it. Okay, let's keep going. What else? Some Scientist X wants Molly to ask his question. What's his question?
He always
Yeah.
wants people to ask his question.
Wait, what's his
Go ahead. His question
Go scroll
is,
back up or something.
Chris, isn't it useful while branding that what people think about you? Yeah, totally, 100%. We're not talking about branding. And I'm going to get into that too because I'm working on a new talk. It's called Identity in the Age of Personal Branding. Identity in the Age of Personal Branding.
I'm excited for
and
this
how this
one.
can help. I've been working on it, guys. This is what I'd rather be doing than 3,000 push-ups, even though I try to do that as well.
Okay.
Thank you, John. Love you too, man.
Let's see.
I feel like you didn't really answer my question.
Well, ask
and
it
I don't
again.
want to bring it up again.
press,
'cause-
press. Go ahead.
Okay.
Please.
Like, I'm just asking, there is what people think about you, which obviously you don't care about. But then what about how other people feel? Not even about you, just how you make them feel. Do
How
you
make
care about
others
that?
Feel.
I do care.
Okay.
And you're like, Your Honor, I rest my case.
I rest my case.
Open and shut. Open and shut.
Yeah, because like, so it's not just you kind of, even if the other person's feelings are just totally stupid and like,
No, they
you
don't
know?
care.
But I mean, it's just interesting to
they
know.
have to be validated.
Well, let me say this. Let me just say this. Let me
It
try and
helps you know
contextualize it.
more about yourself, right? If you know how
No,
you make other people feel.
Not really.
No.
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 How no?
Because I crawl into that cave of known as my mind, and I start to think about, why do you think this? Why do you, in that moment when I'm standing at the bar, kind of just feeling super self-conscious, very awkward, like I don't belong here, And as I'm telling this story to these young people, like, well, you're the VIP, man. Why would you, like, everybody loves you. I'm like, not at this party. I just showed up. I'm a VIP among VIPs. It's not my party. I'm one of the speakers and other speakers. And I don't know a single one of them. And they all seem to know each other. It's first time really in Toronto, so it was a new experience for me. Now, as I was standing in that bar, just thinking about all these things, like, God, you're so weird. People are looking at you. And then I just said, well, why do you even care? Let's pretend like they actually did it. They're sitting there like snickering and pointing. Like they have no power over me.
No,
like I said, it's like, nope, there are no holes in my body. I'm not bleeding. I'm not crying. I'm all right. I'm okay. So that the angry voice, the rage and the courage part allows me to say, shut up, you stupid little weakling. Stand here and deal with it. You're going to overcome this like you always overcome everything. Just stand here and deal with it. And then it's like this calming wave comes over you and it washes away all the anxiety. When you make that commitment that there is no exit, that there is no way out, that maybe what they think doesn't even matter. And that's the truth of it. It doesn't matter. They all have bigger things to deal with. And then I'm going to commit to being here. I'm going to commit to getting up. I'm going to work on my deck. I'm going to get this thing done. Mm-hmm. All right. I feel like we're way over our show, you guys. And
let's wrap it up then.
Let's wrap it up, right? Should we wrap it?
Let's wrap it.
All right. Let me get the keynote ready here. Is it up? And then let me play some music. We got some new music here, you guys. I'm going to play for you in a second. It's an extended acid remix done by Adam Sanborn.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been talking to Adam about this. I said, some people want to hear a longer version of it, or if it's available. And I said, no, it's not available because it's a custom track just for us. You can't download it anywhere. But I encouraged him to do this. He said, put it up on your site, and soon we'll mention it, and you guys can go get it if you want. You can buy it for $1. But he's got a bunch of remixes. This one's super dark. It's just, it's so good. And I just want to remind you guys, you're not defined by your past. The future is what you make it. Be well, you guys. Here's the music.